Hi guys! So now that I have regaled you with the tales of my amazing 2016 planner successes, I feel like I really have to complete the picture by confessing my 2016 planner failures. These are the planners that either I started the year with and then stopped using, or that I started off for one purpose and then ended up using for something else and maybe something else again as the year went on. So they're not all really complete failures in the most dramatic sense of the word, but they're the planners that kind of didn't really have a smooth journey throughout the year. So I'll start off with this group, which is actually 3 notebooks. These are not dated planners, but I was using them as planners. So this is a Moleskine large softcover dot grid, and it's absolutely beautiful. Like many of us, I am totally smitten with the dot grid. And I started using this as a daily planner. So I got into daily planning sometime around late spring, early summer this year. And I was completely surprised that it had taken me this long to figure out that I really, really needed daily planning. I absolutely loved it. And when I first started, I was experimenting with a few different things. I tried a happy planner, which is another failure of 2016. I had a classic size happy planner for a while that I used for a few different things and then gave up. I'll talk more about that later. And then I tried a Leuchtturm week on 2 pages, which I will also mention again a bit later. And then I decided to start using Undated, just blank notebooks, which unsurprisingly I had quite a collection of, because I thought for daily planning it's just a to-do list. I don't really need dates. I'll just use a new page every day, and then it doesn't matter what date it is, and it doesn't matter if I skip a day. So I started off using this, and it was great. I loved it. I put it in a traveler's notebook cover. I was very happy with it. And then it occurred to me that because it was undated, I could fulfill my secret desire to use lots of notebooks at the same time that I otherwise wouldn't have a chance to use probably for a long time. So then I got this awesome Batman Moleskine, which I completely love as well. And I was just using it the same way. So you see, I would just make a big list of my to-dos. I was decorating it a little bit with some washi tape. I was kind of trying to keep to the black and white theme, the black pen. And I thought I can just kind of go back and forth between these two because, you know, they don't have dates. So no harm done. One day I'll use this one, the next day I'll use this one as I feel like it. And I was also using this one. I think this is actually the first one that I started using. This is an A5 Stalogy notebook with gridded paper, which I also love. So you can see I was using all of these in the same way. And I really liked all 3 of them. So what happened? Well, there was nothing really wrong with these. There was no reason for them to fail. And I think that I would have gone on using them, except that at the time, I went into One Book July, as I discussed in my last video, and I tried to give up the daily planning and then realized that I couldn't give it up because it had become too much of an important part of my day and I missed it. And I had this empty Hobonichi Original Avec. And so I thought, well, this is empty. I'm not using it. I'll see what this is like for daily planning. And I started using this for daily planning and immediately fell in love with it. And I felt like it was the use for the Hobonichi Original that I had been searching for and had never been able to find, because as I talked about in the last video, I had kind of experimented with different uses for a Hobonichi Original in 2015 and I never found the right one. And so this was like perfect and it just clicked. And so when that happened, obviously because this is a dated planner, I didn't really want to go back to using these because then the original would have lots of blank pages, and I was enjoying using the original so much that I haven't gone back to these. So this is sad because I love all of these notebooks, and the problem that I have, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, is partially used bound notebook syndrome. So once you've committed to a notebook and you've started using it for a particular purpose, what do you do then if you're no longer using it for that purpose? So I tried for a little while using this for shopping lists because I thought, you know, list of to-dos, shopping list, it looks similar, so it wouldn't be too upsetting. You know, it's not like I would all of a sudden start using this as a dream journal or for language practice or something that would kind of physically look completely different. It would still look like a list. But the problem with that was that we couldn't take it with us. So, I mean, it would be a bit silly taking this with you to the supermarket. And so that didn't last very long. I made one shopping list and then that was it. So at the moment, this is sitting patiently on the shelf, sadly unused, looking at me mournfully. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I really do want to use it up, but I feel like I need to find a use that's kind of similar so that it doesn't jar my obsessive planner nature too much. And the same with these two. So this was, in retrospect, something of a failure, because if I had only realized at the beginning that the A6 Hobonichi would be perfect for daily planning, then I wouldn't have had to start using these and they would still be pristine. But anyway, live and learn, and that's how it goes in the planner world. I think sometimes you just have to experiment with things so that you can work out what's right for you. So that is one group of failed 2016 planners, which I still have hope for. Unfortunately, because they're not dated, I can really turn the situation around. Then the next one is another beautiful bound planner. This one is a 2016-17 18-month academic planner from Paper Blanks, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Paper Blanks. I love their planners, mostly because of the beautiful decorative covers, and this one just really struck me because it's so happy. It has this really positive quote and it's rainbetical. The whole thing is just so colorful and beautiful. I did a review on this if you're interested in seeing what it looks like in depth, but this is a week on 2-page planner. It has this month on 1-page overview, which is kind of odd because it's faces this way. So, you know, if you're used to the month on 2 pages, like in the Hobonichi, it's kind of weird. So I bought this with the intention of using it as a meal planner. And you know me and meal planners, never goes well. So with the best of intentions, I started off by making this like kind of sample week of meals that we were supposed to be able to kind of refer back to and use just as a template if we ever got stuck. And this was, because it's an academic planner, it has this timetable and it has a few pages where it has the time, it has like kind of 8 slots or something like that for the week. And so I thought that was perfect for making like kind of a model meal plan. So I did that, was very pleased with myself, and then started using it for meal planning. So you can see this starts in July, but I didn't buy it until September. So that's when we started using it. And we were using this as a meal planner and it went very well for like 5 days. And then, as always happens with meal planning in this household, we just stopped. I don't know why, we just somehow can't keep the momentum going, even though we really like it when we actually do manage to do it. Then, quite soon after, I decided to start using it as a vision book. So I was just writing in all of the things that I wanted to happen. And I used it like that for a couple of months. It did sort of bother me how it had originally been a meal planner, but I tried to kind of put that to one side and think, well, it's a beautiful planner. I don't want to give up on it just because I'm using it for something different. I'll just ignore that first week with all of the meal planning. I didn't put stickers down because, as you can see, I wasn't using stickers in the planner, and so it would have been just as incongruous to have a page covered with stickers and then no more stickers. So I was just using this very, very functionally, very matter of fact. I was using it with a Hobonichi pen, which was something else that I'd committed to, because I think along with wanting a single use for a planner, I also want to have a single pen so that it looks uniform. Or if I'm using stickers, to kind of commit to that so that the whole thing looks the same, so that it's cohesive. That's how obsessed I am with planners looking perfect. And so I kept on like that until the end of November, when I started using my new Hobonichi weeks as a gratitude / vision book, and that was absolutely perfect. I talked about this in another recent video. So then this poor thing was again abandoned, unused, and around this time I started panicking about finances, which I do periodically, and decided to start using it as a finance planner, which it's quite good for because it's got the nice week on 2-page layout with lines, horizontal, which is good for, you know, kind of jotting down individual expenses, and then it's got this space for notes at the bottom where I could add up the totals of what I'd spent in the week. So that is how I've been using it ever since, and that takes us up until the present. So I'm using it like that, but I have a feeling that I'm not going to keep using it in the new year, because I got this amazing rock. This just arrived today from a very, very kind, generous friend in the US who sent me this, the idolized, coveted Hello Beautiful I think they call it Super Fun Planner, and it is super fun. It's amazing. I love it. The mini happy planner. So I've just replaced the discs with some bigger Doki book discs because I like the metal discs better than the plastic ones. And I put it in a Doki book cover. And I'm not sure if it's going to stay in this cover or if it's going to go into one of the snap-on covers, which she also very kindly sent to me, and I'm in love with that. But with that you can't keep the whole year together, so I haven't quite decided yet. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be using this as my finance planner because it's so happy and it just makes you smile looking at it. You're more awesome than the top of a blueberry muffin fresh out of the oven. I just love this. I think this is my favorite of all of the happy planner designs that I've seen, and I think that this would be quite good for a finance planner because the thing about the finance planner is that I mainly use it as a kind of motivational tool to stop me freaking out about finances and spending too much money. And when I was doing that earlier in the year, which I will show you in a minute because that took place in another failed planner, it really, really helped. And then around One Book July, I transferred it into my personal planner, and then that wasn't really working very well. And so then I decided I didn't need to do it anymore. And then things kind of descended into chaos again. So I think that this is too beautiful an opportunity to pass up, and I'd really like the idea of a nice, fresh, new planner starting in January 2017 that I can then commit to and use as my finance planner for the whole year. But that means that this one is yet again unaccounted for, and because it's an academic planner, it goes all the way until December 2017. So I'd really like to use this, but it's kind of the same issue as these guys in that I've used it already for various different things. So I feel like it has to be used for something that I'm not going to be too precious about. It has to be something where I can just kind of use it to like quickly jot down notes and, not worry that it's been used for a few different things over the year. In a way, I think it's kind of cool when you've got a planner that's been used for more than one thing because it sort of tells the story of your journey, which, is then nice to share at the end of the year. But on the other hand, being like totally OCD, it bugs me. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. One thing I was thinking of is possibly using it as a kind of dirty planner for home planning. That's Amy Loves Paper's term, and I really like it, as opposed to pretty planner. This would be where I would just like kind of jot down things that James and I have to get done around the house that I want him to be able to see as well as me. And then I wouldn't care too much if it's messy or not. So that's one idea, but I'm still thinking about it. And in the meantime, it's going to carry on as my finance planner until the end of the year, but that's only like another 2 weeks. So the next one is, again, not really a planner, but I thought I'd include it just because it's in the family, notebook/planner family. This is a 7 Seas writer from Nanami Paper, and I bought this probably 2 years ago nearly when I first got into Hobonichis and I was intrigued by Tomoe River Paper, and this was the only other planner or notebook that I knew of at the time that was made with Tomoe River Paper. And because it's quite thick, you can imagine that it was a big deal trying to find something worthy of using this for. So I finally decided early last year to use it for a dream journal, and I was quite good at first. So you can see I started it in March. And I was really just writing down my dreams. Like, as soon as I had them, I would write them down. And look at all of this. I can't believe I managed to write all of this. And then they kind of got to be a little bit more sporadic. And finally, then I decided it was too much of a burden and I just couldn't keep up with it, writing down my dreams every morning. And then I decided that I would just use them to write down when I had a dream about Panda, our dog. And, kind of as a way to sort of to commemorate the dream, because I do like dream of him sometimes. And then even that kind of became too much, and it was just sitting there by my bed staring at me accusingly, and so finally I put it back on the shelf. So again, this is not dated, and I wasn't even using it as a planner, so I could come back to it any time if I decide that I want to keep a dream journal again, and it would be fine. It would be there waiting for me. I was dating it myself, so I could just pick up where I left off. So I'm going to keep this here because I feel like going from dream journal to something else would be a bit too much of a jump, as in I don't want to suddenly start using this for shopping list, for example, as in the case of that other notebook. So I think that I'm just going to keep this in reserve And if at some time in future I decide that I want to keep a dream journal again, then I'll use it. But for now, it's kind of partly used and on the shelf. Then we come to the disc-bound planners. So in early 2016, Dokibook came out with the Discagenda Diva, which I think was a huge revolution in the disc-bound planner world, because I've talked about this before, so a lot of you probably know my feelings on this. I just absolutely love it. I think it's just the best disc-bound planner out there. I love the Happy Planner, but there are a couple of features that this has that I think really kind of set it apart. One is that it has the metal discs with a hole in it, so it's cute. Sorry, there's a pen in the way. See, it has a hole, so it's kind of like the Happy Planner discs with the heart, but it's metal, so it's like kind of much sturdier and, you know, also better for the environment, and it just has a really nice sleek look. And it's A5 size, which I think is really nice. And I also like the fact that it has these like kind of hard covers, which are interchangeable. So they're more rugged than the Happy Planner laminated covers. So by interchangeable, I mean, you can take this off and you can put something underneath it. And it's not laminated, which I really like. And then it has this cover, which is like kind of very hard and durable. And I love the dividers. I love everything about it. I love the inserts. So when this first came, I started using it as a home planner, which is what this is now being used for. So I showed you this in the last video. And it was working fine as that. Annoyingly, I got rid of the inserts because when they were full, I would take them out and put them into an extra disc-bound binder that I had for storage. And then at some point, I just decided that, you know, it was too much clutter and I would recycle them. Which is another reason why I should only be allowed to use bound planners, because I cannot be trusted. And if I can remove the pages, then I will probably recycle them at some point in the year when I'm kind of like feeling minimalist, and then regret it later because now I can't show it to you. So for the first couple of months, this started in February. So February, March, and April, I think I was using this as a home planner. And was using the Happy Planner that I mentioned earlier as a meal planner. And then I decided to use I can't remember what happened then, if we got rid of the home planner or if we put the home planner into something else, or maybe we were just putting the home planning on the monthly pages. I'm not sure what happened, but at some point I started using this as a meal planner. And so you can see here, I started decorating it and using it as a meal planner. And I was really enjoying this. We were planning like all of our meals and it was actually working really well. I think maybe the stickers had something to do with its success, because this is the longest that I've ever been able to keep up with a meal planner. And then I was using this notes section here for shopping lists, and it was actually working quite well. But then you can see right before One Book July, I decided to try to incorporate all of this into my personal planner. And so you can see I'd put the stickers down for this week, and then I didn't use it because I'd put it all in my personal planner in my weeks, and then it was blank for a while. And then in August I decided to use it for a kind of like nice things that happened to me planner, as a sort of positivity planner, kind of like a gratitude journal, but you know, with a focus specifically on writing down the nice things that happened, but not in a memory planning way with stickers or decoration or anything, just writing them down. And so I used it like that for a few weeks, I guess nearly a month it looks like. And then in September, see again, I wasn't using the monthlies here, which kind of bothered me. Then I just started using this as a kind of extra gratitude, like on the go, not on the go, but you know, kind of like as I felt like it. Extra gratitude journal, just because it was empty there, or nice things that happened. And then I kind of fell off the wagon with that. So you can see it's kind of a little bit, you know, sometimes and then sometimes not. And then in October, it was unused again. So you can see all of this very sad. Then there was this sad attempt at meal planning again. I wrote down one thing and then 2 days later, another thing. That was it. And then it found its use, which is what it currently is used for. Tails, our dog, needs to have eye drops twice a day. And because this was unused, I thought I'll just use this to note down the morning and evening eye drops. And it's perfect because it's got these 3 boxes. Sometimes he has an extra one, so, you know, we could use the afternoon one. And that's what we've been using it for ever since. So it just lives in the bedroom next to the eye drops, and we just note down when we've given them to him, and it's really convenient for that. I kind of feel like it's being underused because obviously it could do a lot more than that, but it works really well, and I couldn't find anything else to use it for that was sticking, as you can see. So it's great because it looks beautiful. I love the discs. I really like admiring it when it's just out on the table. It looks beautiful. I love the discband system. And so this runs out at the end of January. So my plan is to keep using this until it runs out, and then just keep this as a kind of spare discbound notebook, which I could put other pages in, or, you know, make into a discbound notebook of some kind, like punching other pages or something. I'm not sure. The nice thing about this is that because unlike all of these planners, it's not bound. That means that I can just, you know, keep the dividers, get rid of the used inserts, and put it on the shelf and store it for later. So this isn't really a failure in the sense that nothing terrible has happened. I can still totally use this system and either get Doki Book inserts again if I decide that I want to use it for, you know, that I like this type of insert and I want to use them for something, or use it in some other way. But I guess the thing about it is that I think it would be nice to have the whole year to look back on having just used it for one purpose. So that's why it kind of goes in my failure category. And then finally, we have its sibling, another discbound planner from Doki Book. This is the Discagenda Manta. This one comes with black rings, but I ordered a separate set of gold rings so that I could mix black and gold, which I really like. This started off life as my finance binder. So remember earlier when I was talking about how I'd had a finance binder earlier in the year? It was in this. And so some of you might have seen I did a setup of this when I was using it as my finance binder, and that worked really well. So I had a picture of Panda. I was going for this black and white and gold theme in here as well because it fit with the planner. And then I started off by putting in some like kind of happy finance things, like goals: be happy about our finances, deposit £300 in savings, and then like I got a refund for electricity. I was sort of trying to use it in a sort of happy finance way, and then I was keeping track of all of my expenses, and I divided them into 3 different categories: food, necessities, and fun stuff. And then at the end of the week I would like total it all up. And in the monthly spreads, I was putting in my bank balance for my current account and my savings account. So that went quite well. And then again, what killed it off? One Book July. As you can see, in July, I filled in this dashboard, and then for a while I was copying it over from my personal planner because I was using my personal planner for everything. I'd put all of my finance information in it. And then I just stopped doing it because, as I've talked about in other videos, I think the personal planner, the weeks, even though it could fit all that stuff, I just wasn't enjoying it. Part of what made me like the finance planner was, or the idea of recording my finances, was the thought of getting to use this beautiful planner. And when it was all like squished into my personal planner, it just wasn't fun anymore. So let that be a lesson. You know, if you feel like you must kind of consolidate everything into one planner and have it all be so totally functional and not have 50 million different planners, sometimes it's not always the best option. So after One Book July was over, I didn't go back to it. And you can see here it's blank, because I think by then I just got out of the habit of finance tracking and I just wasn't doing it anymore, and I told myself I didn't need to do it. And then it was blank, and that kind of really was quite sad. And then I decided briefly to use it for like goals, and then I started using it as my gratitude book. So I had the split system. I had this for my gratitude book, and this is my vision book. And it was quite nice because I had it divided into 3 sections again: home, work, and personal, because the Manta has these 3 different sections, but they're not labeled, kind of like the new happy planners, so you can put whatever labels you want on them. And I used it like this for quite a while, the same period that I was using this for, so like a good couple of months, October and November. And then, as I mentioned, I decided to switch into the weeks for both of them, which was just much better because I've talked about this before. I just like having gratitude and vision all together in this nice compact little book. I think that works the best. And so now, so it's December, and this is blank again. So I used it here for testing out a new fountain pen. But that's it. And this is kind of worrying me because this goes on until the end of April. Oddly, you might think, but it's because this came out in the middle of the year, and so the inserts were designed for May till April. So there's still hope for this. I could still find another use for it, but I'm not exactly sure what that would be at the moment. Again, as in the case of the Discagenda Diva, because this is a disc-bound planner, I haven't lost anything. I can just come back to it when I find a use for it, and that does happen quite often during the year. I realize that I'd like to track X or plan X, and then it's nice to have a planner that's waiting for you. And because this is disc-bound, if it bothers me, I can get rid of all of these old inserts. I'm glad that I kept them because I wanted to be able to show them to you. But I think that if I was to use this for something different now, because we're going into 2017, even though the planner doesn't run for the 2017 calendar year, I wouldn't mind getting rid of the old inserts and just using what's left if I decided, say, to use this for meal planning or something. And then again, obviously, even if I don't use it until the end of April and the inserts run out, I've still got the discs and I've got the dividers and the covers, which I really like, so I can just decide to do something else with it later. So there you have it. This is my stack of planner failures for the year. There are also a couple of others, well, more than a couple, that I should mention, which I don't have anymore. So these are like kind of the failures that were only moderate they were not spectacular disasters. They had such a degree of success, or, felt like they would still be useful enough that I've kept them, and I'm hoping to be able to rehabilitate them. But the abject failures were the Happy Planner, which I actually used for quite a while. So this was the 18-month original series. It was the one with the black cover with the gold heart, 2015-16. So actually, if I had kept it, it would still be valid now. It would be finishing in 2 weeks' time. And I used that. It started off as a meal tracker, then it switched to a meal planner. And then when the Diva came, I switched the meal planning into that instead. And then for some time I was using it as a home planner, and then I was using it as a daily planner for a while before I switched into the notebooks. And then I was just kind of using it whenever I had I needed a spare planner for something. For a while we were using it to track Tails' medicine when he had to go into hospital, and he had all these different medicines. And so we were using it to track that. So I was kind of using it, just for like when I needed a random planner that I didn't really need to worry about too much about it looking nice. And then finally, I think around July, I had a clear out, and I just decided to get rid of the planners that I wasn't using, or that, I wasn't really happy with and wasn't planning to use. And the main issue with that was the covers. I loved the Happy Planner and I really liked the insides, but the covers just got very scratched, the laminated cover. And this was before the deluxe covers had come out, so there was nothing that fit it that you could put it in. And I just kind of had enough of it. So sometimes I miss it, the classic size Happy Planner, but that I just, kind of ended up putting the paper in the recycling. Then another one that I had was a Leuchtturm A5 week on 2 pages, and I'd actually got that with the intention of giving it to someone, and then I ended up giving them something else, and so I ended up with it. And we were using that for a few different things. It was an exercise tracker for a while. It was a meal planner, again, for a very short period of time. And finally, I just got rid of it in the same clear out when I got rid of the Happy Planner, because I felt like it was bothering me that it had been used for different things, and I just didn't feel like I was going to use it for anything. And then I also had 2 other planners, a paper blanks planner, which was bigger than this one. It was like kind of almost like a B5 size, bigger than A5. And that started the year as my home planner. And I loved it. I was very happy with it. I was totally committed to using it for the whole year. I wanted to fill it with stickers and have it to look back on. And then it came to have like kind of upsetting connotations, because I was decorating it right when Panda had a crisis he had a heart condition and he had to go to hospital, and I just couldn't look at it again after that. So I ended up getting rid of that one. And then finally, I also had a Muji planner, which was a week on one page and then grid pages on the other side. And we were using that to track Panda's medicine when he was really sick. And for the same reason, I just couldn't, I didn't want to keep it. So those were the like kind of true failures, I guess, of 2016, in that they were such failures that I don't even have them to show you anymore. But these ones, I think there's still hope for. So I hope you've enjoyed this. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.